When doing anything in life, we always have to decide what do we want to fill our brains with. Some things are very easy, and we should definitely consider learning those. And some things are hard, and if they're important, we should consider learning those. Some things are difficult to understand and they're less important. This would be one of those topics. Nth roots and absolute values. It's extra work for your brain, and it's not that important. But even so, I'm going to try to explain to you so that you can get the answer that matches the one in the book or on the test. So here's the idea, is that when you have an even power and an odd result, you must use absolute values. Now let's talk about this. Here's an example. Here is x raised to the power of 6. That's an even power. And we're taking a square root. And when we do, one might think that the way we could simplify this is, let's see, it's a square root. So x to the 6 is the same as x cubed times x cubed. So if I take the square root of that, I would expect to get x cubed. That's one way to consider it. There's other ways. But in general, the square root of x to the 6 should be x cubed. Now, it seems like that's a perfectly fine answer. So why don't we just stop right there? Well, let's think about this for a moment. What if we wanted to evaluate this for a particular value of x? Let's say x equals -2. Well, if I do x to the 6th, again, x to the 6th, we would put -2 in parentheses and raise that to the 6th power. And what that should be is 2 to the 6th is 64. -2 to the 6th, when we raise a negative number to an even power, we get a positive result. So this will be positive 64. If I then take the square root of positive 64, what I get is positive 8. Now, all of this that I've just described is all correct. If I take -2 and put it in here, I should apply that power before I ever do the square root. It's called PEMDAS. We do whatever is on the inside parentheses first, and then we take the square root next. Okay, so the correct answer should be 8 if I put in x equals -2 into here. Well, if I simplify the square root of x to the 6th and make it into x cubed, and then I try to do this, -2 raised to the 3rd power, what I end up getting is -8. And that is the incorrect result. That result is not right, because the correct result is this. So there's a problem with just having x cubed. We're going to fix that problem by putting absolute value signs on both sides of it. So again, to go back to the words here in the definition, when you have an even power, and let me go ahead and get a different kind, here we go. When you have an even power, and x to the 6th is an even power, and you take a root and you get an odd result, 3 is an odd result, then you must use absolute values. Okay, when you have an even power and an odd result, you must use absolute values.